Let me tell you three interesting facts about myself. So, you can see this keyboard. It's a fantastic keyboard, Logitech G915. Mechanical keyboard, RGB, lots of clickety clackety noise. And as a lot of people who are hardcore developers will tell you that they love to code using a mechanical keyboard, and they can't use the keyboard on their laptops at all. In fact, I do not use that keyboard for coding. I use it only for gaming. In fact, I have this other keyboard which has keys pretty much like a laptop keyboard, which has very little travel distance. It is a very quiet keyboard, and this is a keyboard that I use for long periods of typing or coding. And I don't use a mechanical keyboard. I don't feel comfortable doing that at all. Okay, second interesting fact is the ID that you see back there on my screen. In fact, when I'm recording videos or streaming, I use a dark mode ID, but generally when I'm coding myself, I don't prefer a dark mode ID at all. And in fact, I use a light themed ID, especially if the lights of my room are on, then I'm almost always coding with a light themed ID, never a dark themed ID. Third interesting fact, I do not listen to English songs at all, and a lot of my friends recommend and suggest me a lot of English songs, and my girlfriend used to also suggest me a lot of English songs. And truth to be told, if I try to listen to English songs, mostly I don't understand them. I'm not able to follow them. And most people, what they call are the lame songs, which is like the 2010 Bollywood songs. That's what I love to hear. True story. Hey, this is Arnav. Welcome to 60 Time, and today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic, conformity bias. If this video actually goes well, this video is probably the first of a series of videos I intend to make on cognitive biases. My personal experience has been that I was never taught about cognitive biases like selection bias, confirmation bias, conformity bias back when I was in school or in college. But later on in my life, in both professional and personal development, I found out that understanding what cognitive biases are and being able to identify when I am suffering from a cognitive bias has helped me tremendously to grow as a human being. So today we're going to be talking about conformity bias, which, as the word conform suggests, you might understand, is when you subconsciously take decisions to try and agree or try to blend in with the crowd or try to agree with what the rest of the people are doing. And I think a very common example of that is this statement that a lot of time parents tell kids that just because your friend is doing, will you do it, right? And the reality is that a lot of times we do a bunch of things just because others are doing it. And in fact, if we applied logical and reasonable analysis, and if we applied some rational thought to it, we would actually not be taking that decision, but we're taking that decision just because we're looking at others doing it. Now, there have been a couple of very interesting experiments that have been done to prove that this conformity bias exists. And my favorite of them are the Sheriff and the Solomon Asch experiment. So the Sheriff's experiment had two parts to it. One was a more of an experimental part, one was more realistic part. So the experimental part is that people are shown this optical illusion where there is a dot and there is a lot of electrostatic interference around that, and it appears the dot is moving. After seeing that for a while, people are asked, like a group of people are asked, whether the dot was moving or whether it was not moving. And interestingly, the experiment found out that if other people around you say that the dot was moving, you tend to say that it was moving. And if other people around you tend to say that the dot was not moving, you tend to say that the dot was not moving. So essentially, people agree with what others are saying rather than actually trying to figure out what they saw it. Because the illusion is such that you don't really understand whether the dot is really moving or not, and you're kind of confused. But when you see that everybody's saying that it moved, you don't say that you're confused, or you don't go with the correct answer that you might have thought. You just go with what everybody else is saying. The second part of the Sheriff's experiment was more interesting because it had a real world connotation, and it showed that when the conformity bias affects you more. So in that, basically, a suspect is shown in a lineup of suspects. Like, you have to find out a suspect out of lineup of suspects and identify the criminal in a suspect group. And people generally picked up that person, which others were also picking up, of course. But the interesting part was that a twist was added to it when it was said that this is not really an experiment, but the person that you're picking, actual criminal proceedings will take place against that person. So basically, you selecting the suspect from that lineup would actually help the police to do some convict that person and put him to jail. Then the probability of a person to actually agree with the rest of the group actually even increased. So when the stakes are higher, then the conformity bias affects us in a larger degree. Okay. The other experiment for conformity bias, and which is a much more famous experiment, is the Solomon-Asch experiment. There's a video of that. There's a small video clip which I'll try to play here, which is basically that a line, say line number 1 is shown, and then a bunch of other lines A, B, C, D are shown. So there is a certain line, let's say the line B and line 1 are actually exactly same in length. But line A and line C and line D, they are of different sizes. So A is much smaller, C and D are much bigger than line number 1. Now, in the experiment, except the person on whom the experiment is conducted, everybody else is basically in on the experiment. They are part of the experiment, right? So you may basically make a group of, say, 5 people or 7 people, and all the other people who are in on the experiment, who are part of the setup, they all pick up a line which is very clearly, very objectively, and very obviously not the line which is same length of 1. They say that, okay, line number A is equal to line number 1. Now A is very small and line number A is pretty big, and it, like, if you just look with your own eyes, you know that it's not correct. Now what happens is that if just before you 5 people say that, yo, line A is equal to line 1, there is a very high probability that you actually pick up the same line because everybody else before you has said the same thing. In fact, there are some variations to it as well. So if the group is bigger, then your chances of conforming to the wrong answer is even higher because more number of people before you have agreed to the wrong answer and you agree to that. There is another thing that has been seen is that if after listening to everybody's answer, you don't have to speak out your answer, you can just write your answer down on a piece of paper, then much less people conform to the wrong answer. Because then since you don't have to speak out, the fact that you're not agreeing to the other people does not become apparent to the group. So if you can sort of anonymously vote in your decision, then there is a better chance of you picking up something correct rather than having to loudly declare that, I don't agree with all 5 of you people, right? And another thing was also noticed that if even just one ally was present, so among all the other people, if everybody voted for the wrong answer except one person who voted for the correct answer, then a person finds an ally in the group. And as soon as they find an ally, the chances of picking the correct answer as opposed to the wrong answer increases by 50%. Okay, so that also tells that the conformity bias is also very fragile. You just need a little bit of support to get out of the conformity bias. A researcher called Herbert Kellman actually studied the conformity bias even further and came up with a distinction between the levels of bias that exist. Okay, and conformity bias is not a single umbrella effect. There are different levels of conformity bias that happens. The first level, which affects people, is called the level of compliance. Now, in the compliance level, what happens is that you agree to everybody else just on the surface, but internally you know that what you're doing is wrong. Okay, this is the first level of conformity bias, and this is the level that generally is affected in the the Asch experiment, where many people, when asked later, they agreed that they knew they were picking up the wrong choice by selecting the wrong line, but just because everybody else was agreeing to it, they just went ahead and played along with them. That's the level of compliance. The second level of conformity bias is identification. So identification level happens when you start getting influenced by people whom you look up to. Now, if your idols, your heroes, your celebrities are doing something, and although you don't 100% agree with what they're doing, you want to be like them. You want other people to think you are like them, so you try to start acting like them, and you take up choices that they are taking up. Okay. And then there is the third level of conformity bias, which is the final level, which is the deepest level of conformity bias, which is called the internalization level. Now, the internalization level happens when you actually convince yourself that what everybody else is thinking is actually correct, right? So internalization happens when, if everybody picks up the wrong line and you also pick it up thinking that that's actually correct, right? So there are three levels. First, you just agree with other people while you're knowing that they're not right. You're doing it just to sort of save your skin, not trying to blend in. The second level is where you want to be like them, so you're trying to act like them, although you're not sure. And the final level is where you finally convince yourself that yes, what they're saying is correct, and you are one of them, and the wrong answer is the correct answer. That's what you kind of convince yourself. There are also two types of influence that leads to conformity bias. And now one of them is called the informative influence, and the other is called the normative influence. Now, the informative influence is that sometimes you can't make a decision because of lack of information. And in that case, what you do is you think that, okay, because everybody else is saying so, they might be right. They might have more information than I have, and that's why they have agreed to a certain conclusion, and I will just go along with them, right? And this is what happens when people agree with what experts say. And this is also what happens when, say for example, for a lot of time with me, I used to think that dark IDs are probably better because I don't know whether dark is better or light is better, and maybe the experts say dark is better because everybody's using dark, so I used to go with that, right? That's the informative level. Now, the other is the normative influence of conformity bias, where instead of lack of information, the fact that drives you to decide against your normal decision is that you want to be a part of the group. You want to feel like you are one of them. Okay, so to make yourself appear like them, or to make yourself comfortable with the rest of the group, you just play along with what they're saying. You agree with them. Okay, now so the Ashes experiment is actually a normative one, where a person knows for sure that the answer they're picking up is wrong. There's no lack of information there, but they don't want to feel left out of the group. They want to be part of the group, so they agree with what the group is saying, right? So your influence could be based on the fact that you think that other people have more information than you, or it could be based on the fact that you just want to be like the other people. What is the effect of conformity bias in the real world? And one of the studies which have shown some of the most dangerous effects of conformity bias in the real world has been how the German police members and even some civilian people in Germany actually helped in killing of Jews during the Holocaust. Now, a lot of people in the German police were given the choice that you can either help in killing the Jews, or you can help in other tasks like transporting people, maintaining law and order. And what happened is that a lot of people did not enjoy killing Jews, but they willingly got into the act of killing Jews because they wanted to conform, they wanted to act like other people. So they saw that other police officers are, killing the Jews, so I will go ahead and I will do the same. So it can be really dangerous. You can probably be doing really cruel things just because others are doing it, and you just want to join them, and you want to feel like them, you want to play along with them, and you can do that. The other more less evil effect of the conformity bias which happens in today's world is the entire influencer marketing domain. Now, how does influencer marketing work? So you're following an influencer or a celebrity or somebody whom you like, and you want to do things that they are doing, right? So when you see your favorite influencers or your favorite celebrities using a certain product, using a certain service, or wearing a certain set of clothes, you want to conform to how they are. You want to become like them, and in that process, you end up buying a product or purchasing a service, or using certain things that they are doing, and that's how marketing actually works. You might have seen a lot of marketing copy which starts off like 2 million people say 2 million people trust this, or why is everybody talking about, so you have these ads like fog chal raha hai, aajkal kya chal raha hai, this fog chal raha hai. So these all kind of ads actually sort of try to hook into the conformity bias of people. They want to show that, okay, hey, everybody's doing this, so you should be doing this as well. Everybody's talking about this, you should be using this as well. And because of a conformity bias, we become susceptible to marketing campaigns like that, and we end up buying those products. Coming to the first few things that I talked about in the beginning of the video about mechanical keyboards, about dark theme IDs, and about my choice of songs. So for a long period of time, I used to force myself to try and listen to English songs because I felt that everybody else is doing that, and I'm not cool if I don't listen to English songs. And it took me a lot of, once I became a little bit successful, I realized that my self-confidence comes from my success and not from whether my music taste match with other people's music tastes. And at that point, I realized that I don't need to pretend to have a certain music taste to blend in with other people. I can just go ahead and exclaim that I don't like English songs, I like Hindi songs, and do what you want to do about it. That's me, right? If you are low on confidence, you might want to agree to other people's music tastes or color tastes or anything like that, right? Similarly, about dark themed IDs, I think, and mechanical keyboards for typing. So there is this whole culture of developers and programmers and hackers who use dark themed IDs and use mechanical keyboards to type. But after a long time, I have started to realize that I am more comfortable typing on this keyboard, which is a low profile keyboard, and I have measured my word per minute and my errors per minute, and my words per minute are definitely much higher on this keyboard, and the number of errors I do are also much less. And there's a scientific explanation for that. So with a low profile keyboard, your fingers have to move less, and your wrist has to move, move backwards much less. So it's actually much safer keyboards, the low profile ones, for carpal tunnel, and your speed of typing is actually also much better. And similarly, if you actually go up and read about chromatic theory, you would realize that black text on white background is easier for the eyes to recognize than white text on black background, right? So the only reason where black IDs, like dark IDs, would be better is if the room is dark. In that case, the eyes have less strain if the screen is also dark, and in that case, dark IDs are better. But if you are sitting in a room where the light is on, in that case, using a light themed ID is actually better for the eyes. And I have realized after very honestly asking myself and not getting swayed away by what other people are thinking, but very honestly asking myself that, do I feel more comfortable reading in dark mode or in light mode? And I figured out that I feel more comfortable reading in light mode. Okay, so I think that if you are more aware of the existence of conformity bias, and then you ask yourself very honest questions as to, are you taking certain decisions because you really want to take that decision, or are you taking that decision because you want to be a part of a group, or you want to belong to a greater culture, or you just you don't want to feel left out, right? And you will get a more honest answer out of yourself. So hope this video was useful. Maybe you can apply this into your real life and maybe change or improve some of the decisions that you take. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And if you want more such content to be made, love to hear anybody's views on the comments below. Thank you so much.